The alarm screamed at 3 a.m. Maria's hand shot out, silencing it instantly. No snooze button. Never a snooze button. She moved through her morning routine like a robot. Cold water on face, hair tied back, flour-dusted jeans, white t-shirt that never quite came clean. 3 blocks to Papa's bakery. The streets were empty. Just Maria, the street lights, and her thoughts. Her college roommate Jessica was probably asleep in some Manhattan high-rise. Alarm set for a civilized 8 a.m. Jessica was a lawyer now. Maria was still kneading dough. "Maria, you're late. 3 minutes late." Her father's voice boomed from the kitchen. "Sorry, Papa." They worked in silence. Knead, fold, shape, the same rhythm. Every single day. For 10 years, Maria had gotten into Columbia, full scholarship, but then Papa had his heart attack. Someone needed to help run the bakery. Just for a few months, she told herself. That was 10 years ago. The morning passed in its usual blur. Door unlocked at 6 a.m. sharp. The regulars filed in like clockwork. Mr. Patterson at 6:15. Mrs. O'Brien at 6:30. Young Danny at 6:45. And Mrs. Chen. Always Mrs. Chen at 6 a.m. exactly. 1 plain roll, small coffee, 20 minutes at the corner table. For 15 years, she had never missed a morning. Until today. 6 a.m. came and went. No Mrs. Chen. Maria felt uneasy all morning. By noon, she couldn't shake it. "Papa, I'm taking my break." Now, but the lunch rush, 30 minutes. She found Mrs. Chen's address in Papa's old customer notebook and headed out. Mrs. Chen's apartment was 6 blocks away. Maria climbed to the 3rd floor, knocked on 3C. Silence. "Mrs. Chen, it's Maria from the bakery." A weak voice. Doors open. Maria found her wrapped in blankets on the couch, face pale, breathing shallow. "Mrs. Chen, should I call 911? No, just flu. I'll be fine. When did you last eat?" "Yesterday morning, I think." Maria looked around. No family photos. No signs of children or grandchildren. Just Mrs. Chen, alone. "I'll be right back." She ran back to the bakery, grabbed soup, fresh bread, and juice. For the next hour, she sat with Mrs. Chen, making sure she ate, checking her temperature. "You didn't have to do this, dear." "I wanted to," Maria said, and she meant it. That night, Maria couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about that empty apartment. One person, alone in a city of 8 million. The next morning, she confronted her father. "Papa, how many customers like Mrs. Chen do we have? Old, living alone?" "Many, I suppose. Why?" "I want to deliver bread to them. Every morning, free." "Maria, we can't afford. We throw away bread every night anyway. Why not give it to people who need it?" They argued, but Maria was stubborn. She'd inherited that from him. "1 week, Antonio finally said. "You try this for 1 week." Maria made a list from Papa's notebook. 12 elderly customers living alone. Every morning after the rush, she'd pack bread and make her rounds. Mrs. Chen, Mr. Kowalski, Mrs. Washington, old Mr. Tate, who'd been a jazz musician in Harlem. She'd knock, hand over bread, stay a few minutes to chat. Those few minutes lit up their whole day. Word spread. By the 2nd week, elderly customers started coming to the bakery not just for bread, but to talk, to connect. Mr. Kowalski and Mr. Tate discovered they'd both served in Vietnam. They started meeting every morning for coffee. Mrs. Chen and Mrs. Washington bonded over gardening. They started an herb garden in the empty lot next door. The bakery transformed. It wasn't just a place to buy bread anymore. It was a community hub. We're busier than ever, Papa admitted one morning. I don't understand. We're giving away bread, but we're making more money. People want connection, Papa, Maria said. They're not just buying bread, they're buying belonging. 3 months later, a reporter showed up. Someone had tipped them off about the baker's daughter feeding the neighborhood's forgotten elderly. The article went viral. Other bakeries wanted to start similar programs. A national morning show wanted to interview her. This is crazy, Papa, Maria said, staring at her phone. Antonio looked at his daughter. Flour in her hair, exhaustion under her eyes, but something else too. Something he hadn't seen in years. Joy. Purpose. Maria, he said slowly, do you remember when you got into Colombia? She froze. They never talked about this. I never thanked you for staying, for sacrificing your dreams. Papa, but watching you these past months, maybe you didn't sacrifice them. Maybe you just found different ones. Maria's eyes filled with tears. The morning show interview happened 2 weeks later. At the end, the host asked, Maria, you gave up a scholarship to Columbia. Do you ever regret it? Maria thought about her old roommate Jessica in Manhattan, about what success was supposed to look like. Then she thought about Mrs. Chen's smile, Mr. Kowalski and Mr. Tate's laughter, the herb garden growing next door. I used to, Maria said honestly, I used to think I was just making bread, that I'd failed somehow. She paused. But now I know I'm not just making bread. I'm making connections. I'm making people feel seen, valued, less alone. I'm making a community. And that's not settling for less. That's everything. The interview aired Tuesday. By Wednesday, the bakery had a line around the block. By Friday, Maria had received letters from elderly people across the country. One letter from Seattle. I'm 78 years old and I haven't had a real conversation in 3 weeks. Your story reminded me that I matter. Thank you. 6 months later, Maria stood on stage at the Brooklyn Community Center, receiving the Community Hero Award. In the audience sat Mrs. Chen, Mr. Kowalski, Mr. Tate, Mrs. Washington, and dozens of others. Her community, her family. Her parents sat in the front row, both crying. When I was 18, Maria began, I thought success looked like a corner office and a 6-figure salary. She smiled. I was wrong. Success looks like Mrs. Chen's smile when I bring her fresh bread. It looks like Mr. Kowalski and Mr. Tate swapping stories over coffee. It looks like a community supporting each other. Her voice grew stronger. For years, I thought I'd settled for less by staying at my father's bakery, but I didn't settle. I found something better. I found purpose. I found meaning. She held up the plaque. This award belongs to all of us, to every person who's ever felt invisible and found community, to everyone who believes that small acts of love can change the world. The audience erupted in applause. Her father stood, tears streaming down his face. Then Mrs. Chen. Then everyone. After the ceremony, Mrs. Chen pulled her aside. Thank you, dear girl. You saved my life. I was so alone. I'd given up, and then you knocked on my door. You made me matter again. Maria hugged her tight. You always mattered. That night, Maria walked home through Brooklyn. It was almost midnight. In a few hours, her alarm would scream at 3 a.m. The same routine, the same flour-dusted jeans, the same walk to Papa's bakery, but it didn't feel the same anymore. She pulled out her phone and looked at the photo from the ceremony. All those faces, all those smiles, all that love. Maybe she hadn't become a lawyer, maybe she'd never have that corner office, but she had something better. She had a community that loved her, a purpose that fulfilled her, days that meant something. And at 3 a.m., when that alarm screamed, she'd wake up not with dread, but with anticipation. Because somewhere in Brooklyn, Mrs. Chen would be waiting. Mr. Kowalski and Mr. Tate would be ready for coffee. The community would be gathering. And Maria would be there, flower in her hair and purpose in her heart, kneading together more than just dough. She'd be kneading together lives.